Claire and Ryan had been married for almost 8 years. They had met in college and had been inseparable ever since. Together, they had a beautiful 5-year-old daughter named Lily, who was the center of their world. Every morning before leaving for work, Ryan would kiss Claire on the forehead and whisper, "I love you. No matter what happens in life, I'll always be by your side." Claire never doubted those words. On their wedding day, they had promised to stay together through good times and bad. One sunny Sunday, they decided to spend the afternoon at a nearby park. On their way home, a driver looking at his phone crossed into their lane. The crash was devastating. Ryan and little Lily escaped with only minor injuries. Claire wasn't as fortunate. She was rushed into emergency surgery. After several long hours, the doctors finally came out. Her spinal cord had been severely damaged. The chances of her ever walking again were very small. Ryan broke down in tears. He rushed into her room, held her hand tightly, and whispered, "We'll get through this together." During the first few weeks, he never missed a day. He brought her flowers. He read Lily's little drawings and messages aloud. He told her every day that he loved her. As long as Ryan was beside her, Claire believed she could survive anything. But slowly, everything began to change. Ryan started arriving later. Sometimes he stayed only a few minutes. Then entire days passed without a visit. He no longer looked into her eyes. He no longer held her hand. The kisses disappeared. Claire kept making excuses for him. Maybe he was exhausted, maybe he was scared, maybe he was trying to stay strong for Lily, but deep inside, she felt the man she loved slipping away. One afternoon, Ryan entered her hospital room carrying a folder. There were no flowers, no smile. He quietly sat beside her bed. Claire looked at him. "What's wrong?" Ryan lowered his eyes. "I can't do this anymore." For a brief moment, Claire thought he was talking about the stress. Then he continued, "The doctors say the chances of you walking again are very small. Lily deserves a normal life, and I'm simply not strong enough for this one." Claire felt as though the world had stopped. She stared at the man who had once promised to love her forever. Her voice trembled. "What about the promises you made to me?" Ryan closed his eyes, but he never answered. Instead, he placed the folder on the bedside table. Inside were divorce papers. Without another word, he walked away. Claire stared at the door long after he had disappeared. She wasn't crying because of the accident. She wasn't crying because she might never walk again. She was crying because the man who had promised to stay beside her for the rest of her life had left when she needed him most. After leaving the hospital, Claire moved into her parents' home. They turned the living room into a bedroom for her. Her mother cooked every meal. Her father built a wheelchair ramp so she could enjoy the garden. Every night, little Lily fell asleep beside her mother. One day, Claire's doctor recommended a specialized rehabilitation center. She refused. "What's the point?" she whispered. "My life is over." Her parents gently convinced her to try. On her first day there, she met Ethan. He was a physical therapist, calm, patient, kind. While everyone else spoke about medical reports and recovery statistics, Ethan simply smiled and said, "Don't promise me you'll succeed. Just promise me you'll come back tomorrow and try again." The first months were heartbreaking. Claire fell again and again. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she begged him to stop. One day she pushed him away and shouted, "You don't understand, I'll never walk again." Ethan quietly stood up. The next morning, he was there again, at the exact same time with the exact same smile. Today, he said softly, we try again. Day after day, week after week, month after month. First, Claire managed to move her toes. Then she stood for a few seconds. Almost a year later, she took her very first step with support. Little Lily began clapping with tears in her eyes. "Mommy, you did it!" Claire burst into tears. Ethan simply smiled. For the first time since the accident, Claire felt that her life wasn't ending. It was beginning again. Months passed. Claire could now walk with the help of a cane. One afternoon, Ethan invited her to a botanical garden. Lily ran ahead chasing butterflies. Claire looked at him quietly. "Why did you stay?" "Everyone else left." Ethan smiled. "Because I never saw the woman in the wheelchair. I saw the woman who stood back up every single time life knocked her down." At that moment, Claire realized she had fallen in love with the man who had never asked her to be perfect. He had simply believed in her when she no longer believed in herself. A few months later, Ethan took her back to the rehabilitation room, where she had taken her very first step. He knelt down, pulled a small ring from his pocket, and smiled. "The first time we met, you were fighting to take one single step. Today, I want to ask if you're ready to spend the rest of your life's steps with me." Claire burst into tears. Before she could answer, Lily ran over and hugged Ethan tightly. "Can I call you Dad?" Ethan smiled through his tears. "Only if you want to." Lily nodded without hesitation and hugged him even tighter. Claire looked at them, smiled through her tears, and whispered, "Yes. Sometimes the people we love leave us when we need them the most. But life has a beautiful way of reminding us that after the deepest betrayal, love can still find its way back. Sometimes in the person who never promised to stay forever, because they simply did."